A video source is Dokey, I think I'm live. I'm so sorry for a couple of minutes delay there, guys. I opened up my live dashboardy thing in the group and it looked different. A different techie stuff. I'm like, oh no, it's different. I don't know if my laptop upgraded last night or Facebook's done something, but I'm a little bit technically compromised with all of this sometimes. Let me just go into. I'm trying to work out. I think that's better. It's changed. Why has it changed? I think I'm live. I can't see the little your comment. Oh yes, now I've got your comments here. So everything's moved over to the other side. Yeah, as tech does, it changes all the time, doesn't it? Okay, let me just get organized here. I'll pop it away a little bit because it looks like it's a different frame. Okay, I'll tidy myself up. I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. If you're in Australia, it's Sunday morning. It's beautiful outside where I am here. Beautiful spring morning. I'm down near Canberra, so it's quite cool. Good afternoon, evening if you're on the other side of the world. I'll just wait for some people to pop on. This is our weekly Q&A where you can ask me any questions in regards to your off-the-track thoroughbred, or if you have a standy, or any other horse really. It is an off-the-track thoroughbred group, but I know we have some members in here that have standies. And any horse really, I'm happy to answer questions. So I'll just wait for some people to pop on and I'll have a sip of my coffee. I hope everybody is well in these challenging times. It's good time to focus on our horses, I think. They're in such challenging times in the world. It's nice to have these beautiful animals around us. And a good time because there's so many lockdowns that we can positive thing is we have time to work our horses, don't we? Some of us do. I know a lot of people actually have their children home, so that's a bit challenging too. Anyway, let's make the best of the situation. Okay, I'll just organize myself here. So what I wanted to do today, I'll just wait for some questions to pop in. And I've got a topic that I want to talk about. So I'll just go down here. I know we've got some new members of the group, so I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome all our new members. Welcome to the group. It's lovely to have you here. The group is growing each week, which is really fantastic. I always recommend when you get in the group, please introduce yourself. We'd love to meet you and your off-the-track thoroughbred. Tell us a little bit about how you got your off-the-track thoroughbred, any challenges you're having, successes. Really would love to meet you. So feel free to post anytime in the group as well. If you have a question, pop it up in the group. If you just want to have a chat, want to share your successes, want to share your challenges, this is what the group is for. It's a community where we can all share our successes, our challenges, reach out and ask questions. That's what it's for. A nice group where we can all support each other on our off-the-track thoroughbred journey. So today, just if you're popping on live and you have a question you want to ask me, just pop it in the comments and I'll go through the comments and answer them. In the meantime, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the training techniques that I use when I retrain my off-the-track thoroughbreds, and also what I teach in retraining in my online course. There's a membership program coming out really soon, which I'm excited about. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a broad overview on how I retrain off-the-track thoroughbreds and the techniques that I use. So the main principle that I use when it comes to retraining off-the-track thoroughbreds is equitation science. So equitation science is a set of principles that put the welfare of the horse as a priority. It promotes training that is evidence-based, and when I mean evidence-based, it uses the way that horses learn, their nature. So instead of going against the nature of horses, how they process information, how they learn, it's using training to use the horse's natural learning capabilities, their natural, their cognitive abilities, and their behavior, and I'm trying to think of the word. I'm having a mental blank. I'm having a mental blank. Sunday morning mental blank. I've got the word. Oh, it's sort of, yeah. Anyway, the natural behavior of horses, their what their mate. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? What's the word? I say it all the time. Oh, anyway, you know what I mean. Oh, I'm having a mental blank. I've got my academic horse training book here. I've done a whole online course and I mentioned it. Isn't that mad? Anyway, my brain is so full of so many things. The horse's nature, which is called some word. Let me find it. If I don't find it, it doesn't matter, because I'm sure you know what I mean. Anyway, I've got it written. I've got it in the group somewhere. If you go to the guide section, I've got it in the group. I'm just having a complete mental blank. So yeah, basically it's incorporating working with the horse, their social behavior, they're intelligent. They're very intelligent animals. They learn completely different than we do, and this is important, and this is where training often goes wrong. A lot of people approach the training of horses coming from the way humans learn, and it's not good. It doesn't work like that. It's not good for the welfare of the horses. This is traditional training. Traditional training tends to approach horse training from a human perspective, whereas equitation science promotes horse training from the horse's perspective. It's not natural horsemanship. I'll see if I can find let's have a look. Equitation science and just how it's in the get my other little book. So I'll just share you the books that I have, because this is wonderful. If you want to follow the Equitation Science Principles, which is what I use in my retraining process. Academic horse training is Andrew McLean, who's the CEO and the founder of Equitation Science. This is a fantastic book. It goes through everything, how the horse. I'll just show you. The horse's nature. That's what I was trying to say. There's a word for it, but the horse's nature. So it starts off horse training in theory. This is part 1. It goes through into, chapter 1, you learn about the horse's nature. Whoops, where are we here? The horse's nature. And I won't go through the whole book, but I'll just give you an idea of, and this is really important as well, and it's a big part of successful training and retraining, learning how the horse moves. Okay, whoopsie doopsie. Learning how the horse moves, because when we're training and we're wanting the horse to respond to light responses in hand and under saddle, we need to understand where their legs are moving, where their legs are going, if they're going fast, if they're going slow, to have a smooth transition, just to say from trot to walk. You need to apply your aids at the right time of where the horse's legs are. I'll do a training on this, because this is really, really important, understanding if they're front legs and their back legs, if they're forward or they're back, because you apply certain aids at the certain time of where the horse's leg is landing or off the ground. This is really important to know, and this is part of equitation science. So I'll just read a little paragraph here of why is knowing biomechanics important. So what we're talking about at the moment is when you're retraining your off-the-track thoroughbred, it's important to understand the biomechanics of horses and how they move. So I'll just read this little paragraph here in the Equitation Science book. Why is knowing biomechanics important? Because you can influence the horse's legs at the right or wrong moment, and also because you are trying to develop habits. Habits require practicing the same response time after time. So habits require practicing the same response time after time. So for instance, when you're training your horse to stop, just say lightly under saddle with the rein response. First of all, particularly with off the track thoroughbreds, they're quite often going to be very heavy in front. They're going to be on the forehand because that's how they predominantly move in racing. And what you're wanting to do is train your horse to be in self-carriage off the bit, having, excuse me, I'm going to go hiccup here, having more weight on their hind end, which is a process because they also have to have the physical strength to be able to shift their weight back onto their hind end. But you want to go from that heavy leaning in the rein bit feeling to a very light response that you've trained them, where all you need to do is close your fingers on the reins and just have them feel the bit on their lips, okay, not their jaw. Now you will find off the track thoroughbreds, they use their whole jaw and to lean into the bit. I know because I've ridden track work for 17 and a half years, and just going back this time after a year off with an injury, I was just like, wow, the amount of pressure that thoroughbred racehorses habituate to is crazy when you look at what we want with them with the off the track thoroughbreds. It is really a lot of, it's amazing how much pressure they habituate to. And what they do is you've got 500 plus kilos of horse that is bearing down on that bit onto their jaw. So you can imagine the process that it takes to get them to be light in the bit. It just doesn't happen in 2 or 3 days. It takes it can take months. It does take months. Because not only do you want them to learn mentally that you want them to give to the pressure of the bit, but they have to have the physical capabilities of being able to carry themselves in self-carriage instead of depending on leaning on that bit for their balance. And that's what they do. They use the bit pressure for balance. And another aspect of this, before I go into the rest of this, I'm sort of going on a little tangent here, is a big thing with thoroughbred racehorses is because they habituate to so much bit pressure, you've got then that they lock in their jaw. They get all tight through their muscles, up through their jaw. They brace, you'll notice, and I think I talked about this a little bit in last week's live. They brace in their neck, that big muscle that goes down through their neck. So you can imagine them leaning into the bit, and then they're locking their jaw, and you can imagine the tension that goes up through the muscles here. This is all attached to nerves, and then it goes up through to the poll, so that's going to be really tight. You get thoroughbred racehorses are often very tight up, like rock hard up around behind their ears in the poll area, and then it travels down to, you know, the big underneck muscle. So there's all this bracing that's happening. So we have to undo all of that, and that's undoing that is not about sticking them in side reins. Imagine how painful it would be if you got a horse that's that tense and rock solid and developed. So this is muscular development that they've developed over years and years of racing, that takes, you know, I'm not going to say it takes years and years, because I know that when you are retraining correctly and retraining biomechanically correctly, they can have dramatic changes very fast. But it's not an overnight thing, and it doesn't get getting a horse that's developed like that, or any horse. I don't use side reins personally. I don't promote them, and I don't train that way. I use more the classical dressage style in-hand training, as well as Equitation Science Principles. But just for an example, if you got a horse off the track, and this happens often, you see it quite often, and you've got that solid neck, they've spent years and years like that, and all of a sudden someone puts side reins on them, forces them down. Imagine the pain. Imagine the pain. They just physically, they are forced in a position that they can't do. And it is just horrible. I hate seeing that. And even as the years go on, my retraining process just becomes slower and breaking up even more, because I know how important it is to understand the biomechanics and the physical attributes of how thoroughbred racehorses have developed, and how long it does take, and patience, correct retraining to not only mentally change their behaviours, but to physically change their body. And the biomechanics is part of this. So my little tangent there, I'll go back to this little paragraph. I might start again. Why is knowing biomechanics important? Because you can influence the horse's legs at the right or wrong moment. And also because you are trying to develop habits. Habits require practicing the same response time after time. Take turns, for example. Horses can change direction by opening, so abducting the forelegs, which is stepping out. Okay, so you're just looking at leg yielding. Just say, for example, in leg yielding, the horse steps out. If you're leg yielding to the right, the horse is stepping out with their right foreleg. And then while they're stepping out with their right foreleg, depending if you're in walk or trot, in trot you would also be, so there's adducting. This is getting very into exercise type of physiology. Adducting, which is the horse's legs coming closer together. So I'll go back to before I go on another tangent. Horses can change direction by opening, abducting their forelegs, closing, adducting their forelegs, or opening or closing their hind legs. As you can see, there's photos here. As you can see, there are 4 choices. Correct turns in dressage involve an initial opening of the forelegs. Let's say you are turning to the right. If you stimulate the horse to turn right when the right foreleg is on the ground, he cannot do it. Okay, so if you are asking your horse to turn to the right and his foreleg is on the ground, when you apply that right turn aid, he can't turn. I know we actually naturally, when we're in the saddle, we sort of have this subconscious natural, when you've ridden for quite a while and you're aware of the horse's movements, but it's sort of subconscious. We use the right turn aid when the right foreleg is off the ground, just about to come, coming off the ground. But this is an example. If there's a beginner and they're wanting the horse to turn right and the right foreleg is on the ground, as they apply the right, you just say you leg yielding, if you apply your left leg aid while the right foreleg is on the ground, the horse can't turn because the leg is on the ground. I hope this makes sense. He cannot do it unless he does the wrong sort of turn, so closing the legs or adducting, so he may fall in, he may resist the aids. So the aid for the right turn must occur just as the right foreleg begins its ground contact phase. Targeting the correct biomechanical reaction makes learning more efficient and reduces the chances of the horse becoming confused. So the aid for the right turn must occur as the right foreleg begins its ground contact phase. So as you're turning, okay, I'm a bit confused here, ground contact phase. They may have got it wrong here, because you would imagine that they're turning when the right foreleg is turn, ground contact phase. Oh yeah, because it's going to come straight off the ground again. So when it's on the ground, the horse's leg is on the ground, and as you get the turn, the horse's leg comes off the ground again, instead of you asking for the turn as the horse's leg comes down. So that is that. All movements therefore have specific amounts of retraction, protraction, abduction, and adduction. So I hope that makes sense. And just now, because I'm a research, I'm just trying to work out here. So let's say you are turning right. If you stimulate the horse to turn right when the right foreleg is on the ground, he cannot do it. So that's what we're saying. Sorry, I just want to get this right here. Unless he does the wrong sort of turn, closing the legs, adducting. So you don't want to ask for the right turn when the horse's right foreleg is on the ground. Don't get too involved in this, guys, because I'll do some training for this. Just be aware of where your horse's legs are when you're training. So the aid for the right turn must occur just as the right foreleg begins its ground contact phase. Okay. So as it's up in the air coming down. So anyway, I'll do some training on this. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to learn a little bit more about the whole biomechanics of it. But that's just basically part of understanding training your off the track thoroughbred is having an awareness of how they move, so you can apply your aids at the right time. I'll just do, so this is a little bit of an overview of equitation science. So here, there's so many wonderful, there's so much wonderful information in equitation science. It goes into your gaits and your strides, how the horse biomechanically can move. So it's interesting here, while the horse has a very flexible neck, the rest of its spine has much less capabilities of bending. Yeah, so a little example of, you know, when you see a lot of forced bending in, I don't know, where am I? Forced bending in horses over here. You can see how the horse has a very lateral flexion in the neck, but they don't have a lot of bend capabilities through their spine. So asking for excessive bending is... the horse is not going to be able to do it without them suffering welfare-wise. So, and just equitation science, you learn how horses learn. Now, I want to say, guys, these how horses learn. So I've got all this information up in the guide section of this group. So if you're new in the group, go pop up to the guide section and have a little read through, because this gives you the basic foundations of the type of retraining principles that I use. I'm very much about the welfare of horses, and you know, promoting retraining where we're nurturing the welfare and the well-being of the horse, and this takes a lot of patience, this takes a lot of commitment, instead of sort of rushing through. So I hope that makes sense. I'll just have a look and just see if I can go through and give you, now I've got some videos coming into the group that I've done. So the first, where do you want to start with your off? That's what I wanted to mention. Where do you want to start with your off the track thoroughbred? You've addressed or your gut health. You want to make sure that your off the track thoroughbred has is clear of ulcers, there's sound, you've addressed any issues with soundness, you've given them a spell of at least 3 months. I do 3 to 6 to 12 months. I because I have you know, 20 horses. I give them at least 6 to 12 months off when they've come off the track, because I can. And I've got a lot of horses that I have, you know, coming into work or in work. So at least give your off the track thoroughbred 3 months if they've come straight out of racing. And then the first thing that we learn, and I'll just go through this when you're retraining your off the track thoroughbred, is your in hand responses. So these are your stop, your go forward responses, your slowing, your go forward responses, which is your go responses, your slowing responses, which is your stop, and your turn, and your yield. So turning the front forelegs and yielding their hindquarters. So I'll just give you an idea, if you were interested in the Equitation Science book, of how they teach this. It's a little bit of a overview of the book here in this live today. Go through this. There's so many wonderful there's principles of training. I have an ebook on that. I will share that. That's in my online course. Here we go. So the first thing that you want to train your horse is you train the stop. So here it gives you an example, training stop in hand. Okay, so the first exercise that we trained is stop. They're called responses. And stop includes slowing the legs, shortening the legs, and backwards. So downward transitions. So this is, why is this important? So having a little bit of read of the book here, downward transitions are used to diminish the expression of the flight response as well as other sort of undesirable behaviors such as you know, bolting and things like that. So if you train your horse to slow their legs, so stopping very lightly to the rein or in hand pressure such as your lead rope, you can use this in situations. Minnie Mouse, always have dogs barking in my lives. You can use this in situations where your horse may be a little bit anxious, uptight. If you have control of their legs and you can slow them down, it promotes control, number one. And two, when you can control the horse's legs and they understand what you're asking and they're trained to light responses, the horse will relax. Okay, it promotes relaxation in horses. It's amazing how having them really light to your basic responses. Minnie, I'm doing a live. Come here. This is the little yappy one. Sorry guys, got dogs barking. Come on, Minnie Mousey, don't be loud. Minnie Mousey, come on. Sorry guys, there's always dogs barking in my life. So training stop in hand, I'll go to... I'm just going to lock them out. Sorry guys, I'm just going to close this door so the dogs are... Come on. Come on, come inside. Come on, inside. That's it, good kids. Okay. Oh, where's dogs? Minnie's out there. Okay. Sorry, an interruption there, guys. So I might just look at, we'll just go through. So you've got, I won't go too much into the aspects of stop because then that you've got stop. Actually, I will, okay? Because it gives you an idea. So when you're training the stop in hand, first you have your basic attempt. Okay, your horse isn't going to stop lightly. I've got a video on this, actually. I did it yesterday. Look. So see how step one is basic attempt. They're going to be heavy, they're going to be leaning, they're not going to be straight. Then when we've got them stopping in basic attempt, it's like a shaping scale. You train them to shape to what we call now is obedience. So obedience is when they're stopping lightly. So you now have your horse stopping lightly in hand. So you can see here, the grey horse, and that's Manuela next to that grey horse. She's leading the horse by the side and she's able to stop this horse lightly in hand by just some pressure on the lips of the horse's mouth instead of pressure on their jaw. Then we move. So within each response, there is steps in itself. So this is the stop response we're talking about. Okay, we teach the stop response step 2. So now that we're stopping light in hand, we're now asking the horse, your horse to step back. Okay, you don't want to be asking your horse to step back until you have at least a light response in hand first. So step back is part of the stop response. Okay, now we have, so now that we have your horse nice and light, stopping in hand with bit or with rein pressure or a lead rope, and they're stepping back lightly, what happens is now you move on to rhythm and tempo. So you can lead your horse forward and they stop, but they stop straight with all 4 legs. So they're not drifting to the left or the right. They're actually stopping in a straight line. So this is called rhythm. So when you're walking and stopping, your horse is maintaining speed and tempo. So they're stopping. They're stopping without sort of, they're stopping without drifting left or right. And usually, here we go. So stopping rhythm. So then we can now stopping with shorter steps. So you can increase your horse's speed. Whoops. So can you see they're stopping in shorter steps? You can increase your horse's speed. So stop and go, basically, you train together because you can't stop without going first. And then you can adjust your horse speed-wise with light responses. So, for instance, you're leading your horse forward. As you put a little bit of more pressure on your lead rope or reins, they speed up their steps. Okay, then you come backwards and slow them down, and they slow down, and you can speed up. So you're very adjustable in your they're very adjustable in their responses. So can you see the difference of when you started off in your basic attempt? They were very heavy. Their legs didn't stop straight away. They were drifting. And now you're up to rhythm and shorter steps where they're in self-carriage and they're adjustable. You can ask them to lengthen their stride. You can ask them to slow their stride. Walk faster or shorter. Now, this is in hand first before you ask this under saddle. And park, well, I've got lots of videos on this. Park is when your horse is standing, stopping, and you can walk away, stand in front, and they don't move. So this is consolidating the stop response. And it's amazing how horses relax when they understand where they're supposed to put their legs, what is expected of them. When horses understand what is expected of them and they understand how to respond to aids, it promotes calmness and relaxation in them. A lot of tension and stress that you see in off-the-track thoroughbreds is because of confusion, because of unclear training aids. And that's very common in racing because it's not a priority to have them light and responsive to the aids. And that is so step 4, stop straightness. So we looked at that. Contact level. Okay. So straightness, this is just another expression of straightness. The horse is walking forward straight in the same, straight in the same rhythm and tempo. You don't, you just keep walking. You're not needing to pull on the horse. Or, you know, trying to continue to slow them down. They're in autopilot basically until you ask for something else, and they're going straight. They're not drifting to the left or the right. Now, this is this not only training this in hand not only changes the mental trains them mentally to understand the aids, but this is changing them physically. It's amazing how all this in hand work is like rehabilitation for their body. It's amazing how the horses can change in their shape by just doing this and start to soften in that big neck muscle that they often have. And contact. So this is the last step 5 in contact. So, oh no, it's not. Step 5, contact. This is when the horse is maintaining their head and neck position. So you know that nice outline where they haven't got their head up in the air. They're sort of in a nice head carriage. Their nose is in front of the vertical. They're steady in their head carriage. You can just feel that nice little bit of, you know, a connection with the bit and the reins without them twisting, you know, having a funny head tilt or anything. So that's contact, and this is contact in hand is really important as contact under the saddle. And then finally, step 6 is proof. So what proof is your horse offers the previous qualities of the responses in any environment and any time. So for example here, you've got your horse stopping on a bridge. Okay, you've got your horse stopping and parking out at a competition. You've got your horse stopping and standing there in park, out doing training cross country. Yeah, all different situations, all different places. So that's proof level, and this takes a long while to get. You may have your horse you know, stopping nice and lightly to the basic responses at home, and then you go out to a training day and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they've lost them. Okay, so basically you need to retrain them again out at different places. This is how intricate you know, training horses and retraining off the track thoroughbreds is. If your horse is nice and light to your stop and go responses at home, then you go out on a trail ride and they may start to get heavy again, and this is quite common. So you then need to train your responses to be light in these different situations and scenarios. And they say that it takes about 5 different scenarios for the horse to be generally at proof level. So going out to 5 different places and having them responding lightly to all these different places before you sort of get to proof level, and you can have your horse parked in the middle of an arena, and you can go and put your show jumps up and things like that at any different place. So I hope that makes sense, guys. I won't go into this because there's so much involved. So I might leave this video here, this live here, because I've covered quite a bit of information. Let me know if this makes sense to you. If how you're going, try and practice this at home. Now, with your horse, let me know. I've got some videos and I'll pop them up in the group today. I've actually done some videos on how to train the stop response. I did that yesterday. I have some go response videos. I haven't edited them yet. But yeah, look, I'll leave it at that. I hope you find this live valuable and you get you know, some good training tips out of it. And I hope everyone has a great week next week. I will see you in the group, and I will also see you next week for our Q&A. Look, I am going to change the time to suit the different time zone over in the US and UK in that. So I'll pop in the group. I'm going to do that every second week. So one week I'm going to do our time here, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And the next week I'm going to do the US UK time. So I'll let you know the time for that next week. And in the meantime, enjoy your day. Okay, bye.